Hello everyone and welcome back to PW English. Welcome back to the basic series of biology. Those who are new at the channel, who are watching this for the first time, you should know that PW English has brought for you basic series of almost all the subjects. I am Upasna Mongia, your biology mentor. We have already covered basics of nutrition. We have already covered basics of breathing and respiration. Today, we are going to start how transportation happens in plants and not animals, just plants only, because we have talked about heart in our previous lecture, and that is covering basically transportation in humans also. Today the topic is all about the transportation in plants, so let us start without any further delay. So you already know my name. I have welcomed you. What are the topics that we are going to cover today? First, how is water transported in plants? See, plants are very different from animals. Like plants don't have a blood like us. In humans and animals, blood is responsible for transportation. Either it is water or important gases or food. But when we talk about plants, there is a complete different system. There is a complete whole new tissue that is formed in plants. We call it xylem. So xylem has the responsibility of transporting water. Same way, there is another tissue which has taken the responsibility of transporting food, and that tissue is phloem. Now, translocation. Let's dive into the video. Transportation in plants. Alright. Now, first of all, I will explain these clips, these beautiful working GIFs for you. But before that, let us understand what are the materials that is to be transported. See, in us, we transport gases. Blood is responsible for transportation of oxygen and carbon dioxide. We transport food, the digested food. We call it glucose, amino acids, proteins, right? Digested proteins. And hormones also. Hormones are also transported via blood. In plants, the substances that are to be transported are obviously gases, and then there is large amount of water because plant needs lot of water, and food. So in case of plants it is completely different, because when I talk about gases, for gases we have leaves. The transportation happens with the help of leaves. Let's take a blank page. I will come back to this page. Okay. So, I will talk about leaves first. Transportation of gases. Let's draw a leaf. So, basically, on the outer layer of leaf, okay, there is a layer called epidermis. It is like a protective tissue, outer skin of the leaf, and this epidermis has pore-like structures, which we call as stomata. Now, these pore-like structures are present in large amount on the lower epidermis of leaf, but they are responsible for the transportation of gases. For example, plants want large amount of carbon dioxide to enter. It is going to enter via stomata. It wants to release large amount of oxygen after performing photosynthesis. It will happen through stomata. So for the gases, it is completely sorted that with the help of stomata, the exchange of gases is going to happen. But what about water? But when we talk about water, guys, so the transportation happens with the help of a special tissue, that is xylem. Actually, xylem is a complex tissue. With complex, I mean that it has a large amount of cells, different types of cells. Xylem is the tissue which is complex, as I just told you. So by complex, I mean that it is made up of different types and large amounts of cells. First, tracheids. Do not get worried about the names. If you cannot memorize it right now, you can memorize it in your main lecture. But at least you will be familiar with the terms. Tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma, and xylem fibers. One more interesting thing about xylem is that it is considered to be as a completely dead tissue. Except xylem parenchyma, all these cells are actually dead in xylem tissue. Now, how these different types of cells are arranged in a xylem tissue? Let's understand. These are vessels. Let's just say these are vessels. Do you understand the meaning of vessel? Something that has a lot of space inside. These vessels are empty inside. These are hollow inside. You know the purpose, because it serves as a pipe. It serves as a pipe that helps in sucking the water from the roots to the upper parts of the leaf. So how water travels? It is sucked by the xylem tissue and it travels via these vessels. Then surrounding these vessels are these tapering cells just to support the vessels. We call these cells tracheids. And then there is xylem parenchyma. Xylem parenchyma is going to store food and water and so many minerals also. Then there are xylem fibers. Fibers are always dead, and since they are dead, their main function is protection. So here xylem fiber-like structures are present. So now you got the idea that 4 different types of cells are together composing your tissue xylem, and xylem is responsible for transporting water. Now one more point. Let's add more slides. One more, right? Or maybe one more. Okay, ji. Yes. Getting back to it. Xylem, you know, different types of cells are there. Then one more thing. What about large trees? It is a very large and long tree. What is going to happen in this? How it is going to fulfill the requirements of water? When the leaves of this big tree are thirsty, how they are going to get water? Again, with the help of xylem. Xylem tissue, the tissue I just made on the previous slide. These are the cells. Obviously, I'm making the cells in a large size, but in reality, these cells are not that large. So there is this complex tissue. Now, the processes that are helping in transportation of water. First vessel, second vessel. There is large amount of water present in the soil. You must know that water has a property of moving from higher concentration to lower concentration. Same thing is happening here. Large amount of water is present in the soil. All those water molecules are diffused into the first cell of xylem, and then into the second cell of xylem, and then to third and fourth and fifth and so on. It reaches the height. Obviously, alone this diffusion and osmosis is not enough. So one more process that is helping in transportation of water, that is transpiration. So what is transpiration? Just like in summers we sweat a lot, our body produces large amount of water that we call as sweat, right? Same way, in the presence of sun, when there is scorching heat, these leaves also sweat. How do these leaves sweat? They produce water droplets on their surface. It is just the extra water that is released by the leaves in the form of water vapor and some water droplets. That process of evaporation of water from the surface of leaf, the extra water or sometimes the important water because of scorching heat gets evaporated. That process is known as transpiration. So when you see that there is a concentration difference of water, the concentration on the upper parts because of scorching heat and transpiration has decreased. This creates a pull. This creates a pull, suction pull or transpirational pull that helps in transportation of water even more easily. Right? What is this pull force? Just imagine you have a glass of water, you have a straw, and you are sucking that water from the glass. Same way, transpirational pull works. The pipe here is the vessel cell of the xylem tissue. Right? So this is how water is transported. Now let's get back to this diagram. You see, these are the this is the zoomed structure of roots. These yellow drops or point-like structures are the water and minerals that is being transported onto the upper side. The movement of xylem tissue is always in one direction, that is from the soil to the upper side, because only soil has the water. Only soil is going to help in transportation of water. There is no use if you keep watering the plants on the leaf area. Actually, the roots has the property of absorbing the water. No other area can absorb the water. This is another very beautiful gif that is showing how transportation happens in plants. Now moving ahead, what else we have to cover in basics? We will use these blank slides later. Now let's talk about transportation of food. So I showed you the term translocation. What is that? The phenomenon of transportation of food is termed as translocation. And how is food transported? With the help of another tissue, phloem. Just like xylem tissue is complex. It is made up of 4 different types of cells. Same way, phloem is also composed of 4 different types of cells. If you want to know the names, I am writing on board. Sieve tubes. There are sieve tubes. There are companion cells, and there are phloem fibers, and then there is phloem parenchyma. Unlike xylem, phloem is considered to be as a living tissue, because except phloem fibers, all these cells are living. Now you can have a look here. What is happening here? Sieve tubes. The term sieve means which has pores inside it. The tubes which are porous, that is the meaning of sieve tubes. If I say sieve cells, same. They have pores inside their walls. And when I talk about companion cells, actually what is happening here, the center is covered by sieve tubes, and these tubes are actually devoid of nucleus. Yes, these sieve tubes, let's make it porous. These sieve tubes do not have their own nucleus. Nucleus is like very important part of the cell. So without nucleus, we don't expect a cell to function all by itself. So for the support, for the companionship, it has a friend named as companion cells. These companion cells are surrounding the sieve tubes, taking care of sieve tubes, just like your best friend helps you when there are heart conditions, when you are emotionally not feeling yourself. Same way, companion cells are helping these sieve tubes, not just for the emotional support, for the life support basically, because sieve tubes are devoid of nucleus. Now coming back to this, you see, these are the xylem cells surrounding it, and you will see the transportation of water here. Okay, it is about xylem only. This area is covering about xylem only. Here I will draw it for you. It's okay. I thought that this is about phloem, but no, it is about xylem. Again, a very beautiful illustration, isn't it? See how xylem vessels are empty, then how xylem fibers are covering it. Then now you will see that how water is transported. See, these are the water molecules that is being transported. Now coming back to this. So companion cells, you know why they are termed as companion cells? Because they are helping sieve tubes. And then phloem fibers, dead elongated cell-like structures which are responsible for protection. And then there is phloem parenchyma that is responsible for storing food. Parenchyma cells are, their main function is to store food basically. So companion cells helping sieve tubes. Now one more thing about phloem that you are going to remember is that transportation of food requires ATP, and it is not happening in one direction. Unlike xylem, right? Xylem was transporting water only from the downward side to the upward side. But phloem, the case is completely different, because leaves are preparing the food. So leaves are responsible for sending the food to upper and the lower parts, and to the sideways also. So leaves are transporting the food, or the phloem tissue is transporting food in both the directions, upper direction and the lower direction. This direction point is very important while you will be describing the differences between xylem and phloem. All right, and one more point that you can memorize is that xylem tissue does not require energy. It is just transporting water, and water is convenient to have, right? Easy to have. But when we talk about food, everybody has to struggle for food. Same is happening in the plants. They have to struggle to get the food. And by struggle, I mean they have to spend energy. So yes, phloem transports food by utilizing energy, but xylem is spending water or transporting water free of cost. So I will see you in the next lecture. I hope these basics are helping you, and all the efforts by the educators of PW English will be fruitful. These basics are like very important points of biology and important for both the classes 9th and 10th, and even for the 11th and 12th students who missed anyhow these basics. So I will see you soon in the next lecture. Till then, take care of yourself.